Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In this session, we will continue with chapter 7.1, in which we will go through an exam question. And this exam question, which you have it already on the blackboard, and the exams samples. So it says here, this question was out of 15 points, and we have to do the following. We have to write a Java program, only one class with the main method, to do the following. We need first to ask the user to enter an integer number n. Then we have to declare an array named list of n integer numbers. After that, we have to ask the user to fill the array. Once we have the array, we have to find and print the largest odd number in the array. And we have to print a message if the array does not have any odd numbers. So let's think about it in this way. The way we have to do it is, first of all, I have to ask the user to enter n, which is how many elements I need. So let's assume the following. Let's assume the user mentioned that the value n is 3. It means now I have to create an array list, and this should be of n integers. So I have to create an array. The name of the array is list, and the size of the array should be of 3 elements. If the user mentioned that the number n is actually 4, it means the size of the array should be 4. So the size of the array, we cannot define it unless we have the input from the user. So we have n as 4, we have 4 locations, and always we know that the starting location is 0, and the last location will be n minus 1. Now we have to ask the user to fill the array, so we will ask for values. For example, let's assume the input as 10, 11, we have 5, and we have 20. The next step is to find the largest odd number. So we have to find the maximum value, and it should be the maximum odd number. So here, according to this sample of data, we have the following. We have 11 and 5. They are odd number. Which one is the maximum? 5. So the output in this case, we have to say that the maximum odd number that we found in this array is 11. Let's assume we have another input and output. Let's assume we have n as 5, and we created the array list to hold 5 elements. And then asking the user for values, and the user said, I would like to have 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. Now, we will do a search to find the maximum odd number, and we can see that none of these numbers is an odd number. So in this case, the message to say what is the maximum odd number, we will say that we don't have any odd number. So we will say none, or we say this array doesn't include any odd number. And similarly, you can have any sample of data. Maybe you have a case where you have only one odd number. So maybe you have this case, you have n as a 3, and this is your array of 3 elements. And according to the user input, the user is 10, 5, and 8. So when you go and do a search now, the odd number, the only odd number you have is 5, and this is the only one. So when you find the maximum odd, you will have to output with the message 5. So the steps we have to follow is, first of all, we have to ask the user for a number n. We have to create the array, and then we have to ask the user for values. Then we have to find the maximum odd number. In case there is no maximum odd number, we have to output a message. So let's write it step by step. We will write each step, we compile it, we find the result, and then we will continue with it. So let's move. So here we have a program that is, we have the main method. we have a scanner as usual because we will do a reading. So we are saying a scanner input equal a new scanner. Now I need n, so I will say integer n, and I will ask the user for a value. So I will have to say system.out.println, and we will ask the user for a value. So we'll say enter n, or enter the size of the array, and then we will read n. So we will say n equal, go to my scanner, which we name it as input, and then next integer. So if the user mentioned that n is 5, it means the array should be created of size 5. If the user mentioned that n is 10, then the array should be created of size 10. So here we will say integer bracket list equals a new integer. Between a bracket, I have to mention n. So this will be created according to the user input. Now I will ask the user to do the input. So let's have a comment here. We will say now we will ask for values. Because I need to read values and I have to save it in an array, as we discussed before, always we need a for loop. So I need a for loop, and I will say integer I equals 0. I should be less than, I have a case where I can say n, because I know that n is the size of my array, or I can say list dot length. Both of them are correct, and we will have I plus plus. Then let's have an opening and closing a bracket. And here what I'll have to mention, that I'll have to say go to the array at location I, and I have to go to my keyboard and then dot next integer. So what we did so far, we just created the array. We ask the user to enter values. Let's have a message here. So we will ask the user for values. So we will ask the user enter n values according to the value entered by the user, and then we will read the values. So this is the first step. Now, just before we move on, we will do one step. I will do the output of the array just to make sure that the array is created properly and it was read properly from the user. And then I will continue with the other steps. So I will just copy this as it is. And here we will have to do output. So here, instead of saying list of I.input.next, just simply I will have to remove this statement, and I will replace it with system.out.println, and I will have to print list of I. And here the message at the top, we will say, let's say list values. So let's try to compile, just make sure that we have no errors and the output is correct. So we have here a small thing that system enter n values, we missed the semicolon there. Also a list of values, we missed another semicolon. Now it says here enter n, what is the size of your array? Let's assume the size is 4. Enter 4 values, so let's say I have 10, I have 23, I have 12, and I have 5. Now according to the input, it says here list of values 10, 23, 12, and 5. So I'm quite happy and satisfied that my program so far is okay. So I don't need the output, I'll just remove it. It was only for the sake that to make sure that my program is doing so far so good. So let's move with what is remaining with the question. It says here, you have to find and you have to print the largest odd number. Now, this is we have to think about it. We know how to find the maximum number by assuming the first number is the max, and then we continue the search in the array. But here we should have the maximum odd number. So the first thing I have to do is I have to find the odd number first. So let's do it in this way. Let's assume that n is actually 4, and I have, this is my array of 4 elements. And according to the user, let's assume the input was 10, 5, I have 9, and I have 2. Now, according to this input, I have 5 and 9. The odd numbers we have two numbers. We have 5 is odd and 9 is odd. Which one is the maximum? 9 is the maximum number. What I need to do, first of all, I have to find, do I have an odd number or not? So I will need a for loop that will move from the beginning till the end, and it should find the location of the odd number. So what I will have a variable, I will call it index, and I will initialize index to -1. And then I will have a loop and I will say, go to the first element. Is it an odd number? It's not, so I will not take it. I will go to the second one. Is it an odd number? Yes. If it is an odd number, what I'll have to do, I'll have to change index, and I should go to this location and save it there. So the location will be 1. And then I have to break. So I don't have to continue with the loop. What is the main aim of this one? The main aim is I need to find the location of the first odd number. Because 5 is the first odd number and location 1, that's why index is 1. If I have n as a 3, this is, or let's keep it the same thing, n as 4, and I have 4 numbers. We have 10, 20, 30, and I have 9, only one odd number. And I will do the same thing, and I will say index will start from -1, and then I will search for a value. Is the first one is odd? It's not. Go to the second one, it's not. Third one, it's not. The last one is odd. The location is a 3, so index should have the value as a 3. Let's have a case where n is 4, but we have no odd numbers. So I have 10, 20, 30, and 40. And here we have index -1 as a starting point, and I will do the same process. Go to the first location and check, is it an odd number? It's not. The second one is not odd. The third one is not odd. The last one is not odd. We finish the array, we will stop, and the value of the index is still -1, which means we finish the array and there is no odd number. That's why the value of the index did not change, and still it is having -1 as a value. So the process is, I will start as follow. I will start with index equal -1, and then I will do a search from the beginning of the array till the end of the array. If you have an odd number, what do you have to do? You have to change the value of the index to the location. So if this is an odd number and the location is 2, for example, you have to save 2 in the index. If there is no odd number, it means you will finish the search and the value of the index will not be changed. Still, it will be as -1. So let's apply this. So here I will say I will start with integer index equal -1, and then I will have a for loop, and I will say integer I equals 0, because always we start from the beginning. I should be less than, either we say n or we say less dot length, and then I a plus a plus. Here what I'll have to do, I'll have to have an if condition by saying go to the array at location I. How can I check if the number is odd or even? We will say modulus 2 equal 1. If it is equal 1, then it means this is an odd number. What I have to do, I have to do two things. I have to say index equals I, and also I have to do a break. I'll just have to stop the loop because I have to find the first one and then I have to stop. So here you notice that I have to, in the if condition, I have to say list of I because I need to check the number inside the array. But then here I have to say index equal I. Why I use I? Because I need to save the location of the odd number. Once this is done, then we can have an if statement, and we will say if index equals -1. What does it mean if the index is -1? We will just say system.out.println, and we will mention a statement saying the array has no odd numbers. Else, so far I'll just output another message and then I will do the other processing. I will output a message and if I need the location of the odd number, I have to print I. If I need the value of the odd number, I have to print list of index. So here we will say the first odd number is. So if I need to display the value of the first odd number, I will say go to the array at location index because X is the location. If I need to print the location, so I will say system.out.println the location of the first odd number as, and we will print index. So what we did, we started index as -1, and then we have a for loop from 0 till the end. If list of I modulus 2 equal 1, then I will say take this I and save it in the location, and then you break. Once you finish, you will have one of two cases. Either index is -1, which means there are no odd numbers in your array, or the value of the index has been changed. So if you print list of index, it will print the value of the array. If you print the index, it will print the location of the first odd number. So let's compile it. We will have sample data and just make sure that it works properly. So we have some errors here as well. So here I have it here with the index, with the bracket. So enter n. So currently I am within the first phase, enter the n. So let's say we have 4 numbers. Enter 4 values. So I am doing the reading over there. So we will say I have 10. Let's assume we have no odd numbers. So 10, 20, 4, and 6. Now the search was done, and because all of them are even numbers, that's why we have a message here saying there is no odd numbers. Let's run it again with odd numbers, with a mix of even and odd. Let's say 4. I have 10, 9, 5, and 20. So we have 4 numbers, and the odd numbers are 9 and 5. 9 is the first odd number. So here it says here the first odd number is 9, and the location of the first odd number is 1, because 9 is located in location 1. Let's run it again. Let's say 4, and I have 9, 5, 3, and 1. So all of them are odd. So what we expect, I expect that it will say the first odd number is 9 and it's located in location 0. So here, this is correct. It's 9 and it's located in location 0. So let me copy this. I will take it there. So, and we will do tracing. We will do output one by one. So we make sure that we know how this is working to find the first odd numbers.